After you have had your soil tested and are excited to get gardening, what comes next? What can you do to help your plants be as healthy as possible? In this section, we will learn ways to amend the soil for healthier plants. Soil amendments can change the amount of available nutrients in the soil, in addition to pH. There can be challenges for amending the soil of established plants and plantings, but amending your soil is a great way to help your plants. What does it mean to amend your soil? What amendments can you use? Typically, the purpose of soil amendments is to modify the pH and change the amount of nutrients available to your plant. Common amendments include fertilizers, compost, and lime. Fertilizers can be slow release, where they can take time to release plant available nutrients into the soil, or fast acting with a quick release of nutrients. You apply some fertilizer to the soil as granules or spikes, while others disperse through water. Some fertilizers do not require soil at all. Instead, you apply directly to the leaves. The types of fertilizer and amendments you use will depend on the needs of your plants, your soil type, your budget, and your personal values. Understanding the difference between organic and inorganic amendments and fertilizers is important when deciding how to amend the soil. Organic fertilizers are usually carbon-based and come from living organisms. Most inorganic fertilizers are synthetic and manufactured in a laboratory. Some fertilizers are not organic or synthetic, but are minerals such as rock phosphate. Plants take up nutrients in the form of ions, and the ions are the same, regardless of the original source. For the plant, it does not matter what type of fertilizer is used. The nitrogen ions from compost are the same as the nitrogen ions from synthetic fertilizer, such as Miracle-Gro. However, compost and other organic sources of nutrients tend to provide additional benefits to the soil, including organic material. Soil organisms decompose this material and release nutrients for plants. Compost and organic sources provide other benefits such as improved aeration and drainage. However, organisms must break down the nutrients in organic fertilizers in order to convert them into a chemical form the plant can use. This means the nutrients in organic fertilizers may not be available as quickly for your plants. When deciding which fertilizer to use, consider your gardening goals and the needs of the plants. For yellowing plants that need nitrogen quickly, a quick-release synthetic fertilizer watered into the soil may be the best choice. Applying compost may not fix the problem because it will take time for the nutrients to become available to the plant. Other considerations may include cost or additional barriers to applying fertilizer. For example, compost requires effort to work into the soil. That may not be possible with established plantings or if you have mobility concerns. In particular, container gardens need many nutrients. Compost or other organic fertilizers may not be enough to feed container plants throughout the season. In this case, you may need to depend on synthetic fertilizers. Fertilizer labels list the amount of nutrients as a ratio, referred to as NPK. By law, fertilizers must contain the percentage by weight of each nutrient listed on the label. A 15-25-10 fertilizer must be 15% nitrogen, 25% phosphorus, and 10% potassium. Unless tested by a laboratory, home or municipal compost will have an unknown NPK ratio, but generally will have a low nutrient value. However, compost adds valuable organic material as well as secondary and micronutrients to the soil. Most synthetic fertilizers have higher nutrient content than organic fertilizers. As a result, you tend to get more nutrients for your dollar. Fertilizers come in many forms, including water-based or granular. Slow-release fertilizer releases nutrients into the soil over time. These include compost, most organic fertilizers, and slow-release synthetic mixtures. Fertilizers can be applied directly to the soil, watered in, or applied to the leaves as foliar applications. Generally, organic fertilizers such as compost or slow-release synthetic fertilizers provide nutrients to plants over the growing season. Plants take up quick-release fertilizers, such as those that use water application, over a shorter time. Foliar applications can provide a quick nutrient boost in special circumstances. Because plants get most nutrients through their roots, foliar fertilizers are not an adequate substitute for soil nutrients. With fertilizer, the timing is important. Apply fertilizers, particularly nitrogen fertilizers, when plants need them. Nitrogen is easily lost from the soil through water movement, so be sure to apply it when plants can take it up. Phosphorus and potassium are stationary in the soil, so they can be applied in the fall prior to planting. Generally, applying fertilizers containing nitrogen when planting or just prior will maximize the nutrient uptake. If using slow-release fertilizers such as granules or compost, you can work these into the top few inches of soil during cultivation. If applying to perennial plants, you can scrape these fertilizers into the soil around the plants, but be careful not to disturb the roots. If planting a tree or other perennial, avoid mixing amendments into the backfill. This can hinder the tree roots from growing into the surrounding soil. It is best to apply fertilizers the season before planting trees to allow the nutrients to be incorporated into the soil. Foliar and other liquid fertilizers can be applied after planting, according to the label instructions. How can you tell that your plants are getting enough nutrients even with your best fertilization efforts? Deficiencies may show themselves as your plants grow. This is often the case with vegetables and quick-growing annuals, which have large nutritional needs. Plants require a great deal of nitrogen, but is highly mobile in the soil. As a result, nitrogen deficiencies are common and may be easy to diagnose. Nitrogen is an important component of chlorophyll, which is responsible for the green color of leaves. When plants do not have enough nitrogen, they begin to turn yellow. With nitrogen deficiency, older leaves on the plant begin to turn yellow first, as seen in this image. Other deficiencies may be more challenging to diagnose or express themselves differently in various plants. Refer to the resources within this module to learn more about identifying plant deficiencies. It is possible to make changes to the soil pH and improve the growing environment for your plants. However, there may be limitations to how much you can change the soil pH. If your soil pH is above 7.5, it may not be possible to lower the pH enough to grow an acid-loving plant like blueberries. When altering the pH, be sure to mix the materials well into the upper 6 to 12 inches of the soil, where the majority of plant roots reside. Liming agents neutralize the acid in the soils and raise the pH, which makes the soil more basic. If you need to use a liming agent in your garden, look for agricultural or garden lime. You can also use wood ash as a liming agent, but be cautious. Wood ash tends to be high in nutrients your soil may not need, such as phosphorus and potassium. Fresh ashes may also damage germinating seedlings or plant roots. If using wood ash as a liming agent in the garden, do so sparingly. To make your soil more acidic and lower the pH, there are a few different amendments you can add. The most common is to mix elemental sulfur into the top 6 to 12 inches of the soil. However, be aware that it may take 2 to 4 months to see results. There are other amendments you can use for specific situations, such as turning your hydrangeas blue or acidifying the soil for blueberries. Consult the resources within this module to learn more about other acidifying agents. There are many things you can add to the soil to improve the health of your plants. In the next video, we will talk about how you can make your own compost, a favorite soil amendment for most gardeners.